and it just has been relentless for over 18 months.
Right now on Up with KREM, Providence and Spokane is welcoming military personnel to help relieve the strain of COVID-19 hospitalizations and get elective surgeries back on track.
And Nick Rolovich is planning to sue Washington State University after he was fired because of the state vaccine mandate.
And forget the forecast, we're shaping up to have an incredible sunrise. I'll walk you through just why I believe that's the case.
Up with KREM begins now.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on Up with KREM. I'm Channing Curtis.
Glad to have you here with us. I'm Tim Pham. Well, today, really, potentially the last day we get a break from the rain. So let's head on outside to meteorologist Jeremy Lagoon, the Outdoor Weather Center. So, Jeremy, what's today going to look like? We should soak up today before it's really a soaker.
Yeah, well said. I like it. Okay, first we're going to talk sunrise because see this little break in the clouds off on the horizon? The sun is going to split that gap, and as it does so, it'll illuminate the bottom of our cloud deck overhead, and that is going to be incredible. Trust me on this one, it is going to be an amazing sunrise. We're going to stick with this camera angle, and I will screenshot it, throw it on social media. It's going to be that kind of good. I've got a good feeling about this. 45 degrees right now thanks to some of the cloud cover and light wind. Mid to low 40s across the inland northwest as we kick things off this morning. It is a little bit cool, but hey, it's still warmer than where we should be this time of year. We're saying goodbye to yesterday's storm activity. You can see it moving out into the central portion of the U.S. and saying hello to yet another push of moisture and a little bit of cloud cover. We're going to hang on to some of this cloud cover throughout the day, but expect some breaks in it and temperatures to climb into the mid-60s. Now, it's not going to feel near as warm as our mid-60s with all that sunshine, but it's mid-60s nonetheless. It's a mix of clouds and sun today and rain returning early tomorrow morning and waves of moisture sticking around through the day tomorrow. I think at times we do see some pretty heavy rain here in Spokane, so enjoy today. Today is the break from, I don't know how Tim said it, but long story short, mid-60s and a mix of clouds and sun today. Tomorrow rain returns and it sticks around right on through the weekend.
Former WSU football head coach Nick Rolovich is planning to sue his former employer, and we've been covering this story for months now on Up with KREM.
So the lawsuit comes after WSU fired Rolovich for refusing to get the COVID-19 vaccine and denying his religious exemption. Rolovich is claiming his devotion to the Catholic faith is his reason for not taking the vaccine. However, Pope Francis has urged everyone to get vaccinated.
An employment attorney says it will be tough for Rolovich to get a judge to side with him on the religious exemption.
The law is that the employer only has to show a small amount of hardship or inconvenience, what's called a de minimis harm. And here, with COVID being potentially lethal, it's going to be, I think, pretty easy to show that an unvaccinated person poses a greater risk than a vaccinated person to staff, students, other faculty, etc.
Rolovich's attorney also claims WSU Athletic Director Pat Chun wanted Rolovich fired long before the vaccine mandate was in place. Meanwhile, Gonzaga's head basketball coach Mark Few pleaded guilty to driving under the influence.
Now, last month, Few was stopped by a Coeur d'Alene officer after he was called in for driving erratically and even speeding. So the police report says Few had several signs of intoxication. The coach is ordered to pay a $1,000 fine and complete 24 hours of community service by February.
So Few's license was also suspended 2 weeks ago for 90 days. However, a judge will allow him to drive to and from work starting on November 5th.
An ignition interlock system was also added to his car, so this means he'll have to prove that he's not drunk before his vehicle can even operate. Mark Few released a statement saying that he's sorry and that this will not happen again.
The FDA authorized both the Moderna and Johnson & Johnson booster shots.
They are also announcing that it is safe for Americans to mix and match those booster shots.
The authorization covers Moderna recipients who are 65 and older or at a high risk of COVID-19. Any J&J recipient 18 and over is also eligible.
So now the focus is turning to vaccines for kids. The FDA and the CDC are expected to make a decision on the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine for children ages 5 to 11 in the next few weeks. In the meantime, Providence recently welcomed 20 active duty military personnel to help relieve some of the strain due to an increase in COVID-19 hospitalizations.
The crew is expected to be on site at Sacred Heart Medical Center for at least 1 month. Spokane is the 11th city where the Department of Defense sent extra resources. 14 nurses, 2 respiratory specialists, 4 physicians are coming from military bases in the Seattle area and California.
So this will allow Providence to start doing elective surgeries again. The chief medical officer says they hope to get back to about 80% of normal operations by November.
And it just has been relentless for over 18 months. So having support to come in and help expand our capacity as well as offer some reprieve to some of the people that have been working in that environment has been a godsend.
As they get COVID care under control, it will take some time to catch up on those postponed elective surgeries.
Hospitalizations are starting to dip, but they are still caring for 100 COVID patients right now. Dr. Getz says most of the serious cases in their hospitals are people who are unvaccinated. It's time for your morning rush. More news in less time.
Spokane police are investigating a deadly shooting that happened Wednesday morning. Now, this is the same shooting that we broke on Up with KREM yesterday. So police were called out to a West Central neighborhood after people were reported hearing gunshots. When officers arrived, they found a body in the middle of the road on West Boone Street. Now, police have not identified the victim yet, but as soon as they do, we'll bring you the very latest on this investigation, both on our website, KREM.com, and the KREM 2 mobile app.
WSU football player Brandon Gray, who was shot and wounded at a party in Pullman last month, was released from the hospital. Pullman police are continuing to investigate the shooting, and they're asking for the public's help with identifying 7 people. These people are not suspects. Police believe they may have information, though, that could help with the investigation. If you can identify any of these people, contact the Pullman Police Department.
The Spokane County Sheriff's Office is trying to recruit new deputies with a promotional video. Now, in the video posted on the Sheriff's Office Facebook page, they share the message that vaccines should be optional, and they're encouraging deputies to get the vaccine, but the sheriff doesn't think any first responders should lose their job over it.
I'm vaccinated. I led by example. I went out and got vaccinated. I have done multiple videos in this community with our public health professionals trying to get people to get vaccinated. The one thing I am anti is these mandates.
The Sheriff's Office hired 33 new deputies in the last 6 months. Kinovich says he needs another 10 deputies immediately. However, he told KREM 2 that his office hasn't received much interest from Washington State troopers. 74 of them were fired Monday after refusing to get the shot. And another fire department is losing firefighters due to the state vaccine mandate. The Moses Lake Fire Department lost 3 firefighters out of 36. The 3 let go all had their exemptions approved, but the city did not offer them accommodations.
We're going to see times where we're not going to have enough staff units to be able to respond to every call that gets called in. There's times now that we have to use mutual aids to come in, but they're already short-staffed as well.
The union created a petition on change.org to bring back the firefighters. In a press release, the city says it needs every penny of its reserve funds to bolster up the infrastructure of the community, not in fighting lawsuits.
Federal health regulators are warning Americans they may need to throw out onions due to a nationwide salmonella outbreak. The outbreak has been linked to red, yellow, and white onions from Mexico and distributed by ProSource Incorporated. The CDC says these onions were imported on August 27. They advise anyone to throw out these onions. There have not been any reported cases in Washington or Idaho.
That's your Morning Rush. More news in less time. Let us know what's happening in your neighborhood by using the hashtag #UpWithKREM on social media.
These items were found in an area that up until recently have been underwater.
New developments in the death of Gabby Petito. Brian Laundrie has been missing for almost 2 months, but investigators found human remains next to items from the main person of interest in Gabby's murder. And the 2021 general election is less than 2 weeks away. And if you haven't made your plan to vote just yet, we've got you covered. Coming up, we have your election guide with everything you need to know about registering to vote and voting in both Idaho and Washington.